guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 91. I'm your host, Pam. And today we're going to be talking about motivation versus your purpose. We're going to get honest about motivation. Motivation is unreliable. There's a day where you're 100% inspired, you're energized, you're ready to change your life at 7 a.m. And then you wake up tomorrow and you can't even convince yourself to send an email or to go for a walk. So if you've ever felt like, why can't I stay motivated? This episode is for you. Motivation was never meant to carry you. Purpose is meant to carry you. We've been sold on this idea that motivation is the key to success. Staying motivated. You're always motivated. That if we want to just feel inspired, then we're able to just stick to that routine, or we're able to build that habit. We're able to become the version of ourselves just because we feel inspired, because we're motivated. But motivation is emotional, and your emotions fluctuate. Your motivation depends on your mood, your sleep, your environment, what went wrong that day. So if you're only relying on motivation, you're basically building your life on something that changes all the time. That's why you start strong and then you stop. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack discipline. It's not because the system that you have isn't working. But it's because you're depending on the wrong thing to fuel you, to keep you going. Purpose doesn't care how you feel. Purpose is steady. It's grounded. It's deeper than a mood. Your purpose sounds like, I'm doing this because it matters to me. I'm doing this because of who I want to become. I'm doing this because this impacts more than just today. This impacts tomorrow and the day after that. Motivation says, I feel like doing this today, so let me do it. Purpose says, I'm doing this whether I feel like it or not. And that shift in your mindset, that shift is everything. So here's where it gets real. Most people get stuck. A lot of people don't lack discipline. They lack clarity. So if your why is weak, or the reason that you're doing something, your purpose, then your consistency is going to also be weak. If your goal is that you want to lose weight, you want to make more money, who doesn't? I want to be successful, again, who doesn't? That's really surface level. So when you go deeper, you say things like, I want the energy to show up for my kids. I want financial freedom so that I'm not constantly stressed, so that I'm not dependent on someone else's, ability to make money. I want to prove to myself that I can follow through. Now it becomes personal. Now you're finding the reason behind it. Now you have the purpose behind it. And when it's personal, it sticks. It's like that really sticky tape that you put on your packing boxes. That's when it sticks. That's how that purpose is in your life. So how are you finding your purpose? You have to ask better questions. Instead of asking, what is it that I want? You're asking, why does this matter to me? What happens if I don't do this? Or what happens if I don't change? Who is affected by this? What kind of person am I becoming if I keep going like this? And then you have to go a layer deeper, because your first answer usually isn't your real answer. For example, you want to get healthy. Why? So I can feel better. Why? So I can have more energy. Why? So that I can be more present for my family. That is the real answer. You see how that's 3 answers in? That's the purpose. Yes, of course, the vanity behind, how you look in your clothes, how you look in the mirror, and how you feel. Of course, those things are valid and they're real. However, when you attach it to, I want to be more present for my family, I want to be around for my grandkids, I want to be able to play with my kid because I'm a little bit older and I am not, I'm finding ways to have time from work so that I can be more present with my children, but I want to have energy. I want to be able to run around with my toddler. That becomes your purpose. That becomes the why behind, getting up at 6 a.m. to work out, or moving your body every day for 30 minutes, no matter what the day looks like. So you have to build a system around your purpose. Once you have your why, the reason that you're doing something, the goal is to remind yourself of it daily, because Purpose can get quiet if you don't reinforce it. You still need the motivation to do it, but if you don't remind yourself of your purpose, then it gets quiet. It becomes almost like it's a windy day and you didn't tie that tent down properly. That wind is going to kind of blow that purpose away. You're not going to remember the reason behind it. So that can look like making it visible. I know this sounds a little bit cheesy to some, but it works. You write your why on a post-it card. Maybe it's the background on your phone, maybe it's on your mirror, on your desk at work, or whatever your workspace looks like. Maybe your steering wheel. I've been known in my day to put a bunch of pictures on a steering wheel when I'm in the hunt for something. Number two, it's attach it to your habits. Don't just say I'm working out. Say I'm working out because I want to be strong and present in my life. If you're already spending time with your kid at a certain point of the day, why don't you make that time a little bit of time of moving your body? Attach your habits together. Number three, talk to yourself differently. When you don't feel like doing something, don't ask, do I feel motivated? Ask yourself, does this align with who I want to be? That question changes everything. Talk to yourself differently, which I'm sure that I could really go into this episode in the depths of how your subconscious interprets how you talk to yourself, but don't give yourself an out. Don't give yourself a way of saying, do I want to do this right now? Do I have the time to do this right now? No, no, no. If I don't do this, what does that turn into? Ask yourself an open-ended question in its place. The hard truth about this and the freeing one is that you're not always going to want to do something. So you already know that off the bat. You're free. You're going to be tired. You're going to be distracted. You're going to be unmotivated. Those things don't go away just because you find your purpose. However, when your purpose is clear, you stop negotiating. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop needing the perfect mood. You stop needing for the weather to be perfect. You just move. It's not perfect every day. Not every day is 100%, but it's consistent. It's enough for you to begin to change your life, for you to just start to shift little things in your life that really allow you to settle into how it is that you want to live. If you take one thing from this episode, I want it to be this. Motivation will get you started, but purpose is going to be what keeps you going when motivation disappears, when you no longer feel like it. Don't chase the feeling of always being motivated because that's not realistic. Build the reason. Because when your why is strong, you don't need to feel ready. You just need to remember what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and take a few minutes to sit down and write out your purpose behind the different things that you want to do or that you're working towards. Because taking that couple of minutes to sit and write down those things, they might be the things that change everything for you. I'll talk to you next week.